Hello, Senna. My Bluetooth on my phone's probably off. When you have too many electronic gadgets. Too many gadgets. Alright. So this may very well be my first narrated MotoVlog. Actually, an actual MotoVlog, I suppose you might say. Let's talk about the FJ. The Fj-09, new model for Yamaha this year. Come on. It's got some pick up and go. It's a really, really nice bike. I've really dug it. I put about 4,000 miles on it so far. Take it down on a couple short trips over this summer. I've had it for about 6 months now. A bit about me, a little experience. I've been riding for about 4 years or so. I started on a 2002 CBR 600 F4i. Nice little bike. But I was looking for something that just had a little more torque. I was more upright, more comfortable. I was drawn towards naked bikes in general. But I also wanted a little bit of touring capability. That would mean a bigger tank, less comfortable. But I didn't want to like graduate to an all adventure bike or something that I felt would be like too aged, too much like an old man bike. I know it's terrible to say. You get like an old man bike. I mean, I would almost say this is an old man bike. It's not. It looks like it might be, but it's basically just an FZ9 that's got a bigger tank, a little improved suspension from the FZ. Has better fuel economy, I think. Just at least by a couple gallons, I feel. It's heavier though, which is, you know, if you're gonna go touring, it's gonna be a little heavier. I feel Yamaha did a disservice from its buyers though, and not including two main things: cruise control and heated grips. I really feel like those should have been included. You know, if not panniers, but no, they can be a little expensive, so I'd understand that since they were optional or additional. It kind of makes sense from a price standpoint, I suppose. That aside, it is a great little bike. I did test ride the FJ and the FZ before deciding on the FJ. I found that the seat was just stock is so much better on the FJ. The FZ, I'm a bit of a taller guy, about 6'1", so I felt a sort of a little cramped. It felt like the bike was just too narrow in the middle. So on the seat, I kept on feeling like I was just falling forward. See, but on the FJ, the seat's more level. It's altogether higher compared to the FZ. So if you're a shorter rider, then yeah, definitely the FJ is going to be a little bit tough to wrangle. The seat, because it's stock, it's quite a bit higher. The inseam required is probably around 33. It's still pretty tall, but I really like it. Because when you're taller, you can see over cars, and of course with the FJ over the FZ, you get nice brush guards. They look pretty cool, I think. They complement the angles of the bike very nicely. And the feeling problems, of course, I think they fixed. Overall, it could be a little bit smoother, definitely. I think a part of it is that they just try to make it seem like it has so much torque and end up making it a little rough. So I would say that the FZ and the FJ are not beginner bikes by any means. If you accidentally roll on the throttle a little hard, it can be a little dangerous. Because learning the throttle and clutch control is pretty paramount to when you're starting riding. So I wouldn't recommend it as a first bike, but as like a second or third bike. We've gotten the basics down. I'll just stop here, whatever. Since there's kids around and whatnot. So that all being aside, the FGA is not as you might think. It's not an adventure bike per se. It is not an adventure bike. It is certainly a sport touring bike. It's got all that torque. It's meant to be on the road. You try to take it off road, you're just gonna spin the tire out, and it's not gonna be fun. Plus the stock tires are not knobby at all. So if you take it in the wet, it's a little bit slippery, not too bad. The ABS is a nice little addition there to keep it fairly stable. Plus the handlebars are really wide, so you got all that not torque, but all that control over where you're going, and it makes it really maneuverable, which can be, of course, dangerous if you're off the road and there's a lot of movement in the handlebar. It really makes that less of a problem when you're on the road, if you're doing the twisties, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's great fun. It's very maneuverable. A little tall. The gears are a little bit short. Not too bad. I mean, once you get above about 3,500 or so revs, that's when it just starts to go a little crazy. And one little gripe I do have is to turn off traction control, you have to complete your stop, press it for a few seconds, and then it turns off. That's if you want to be a bit of a hooligan, because I mean it is a triple. It's fun to be a hooligan sometimes. I'm not advocating wheelies or anything. No. I will also say I haven't ridden too many bikes, but this is the first bike. I've been on both cruisers and sport bikes, that kind of thing. But this is the first bike where I actually feel comfortable braking one-handed. Say if you're going 40 or whatever, and you actually just step on the brakes or whatever to slow down, you tend to get a lot of movement in the handlebars, or it feels like you start to lean towards one side. But on this thing, it's actually pretty stable. I was surprised. I actually feel comfortable braking when you only have one hand on the bar. And of course that makes it very maneuverable, but also strangely stable when it's braking. I felt also that the FZ suspension was rather splashy when you were braking. Although I'll admit that I think I did test ride the 2014 versus the 2015, and to my knowledge they did fix that a good amount. It's pretty dry outside. It's not raining at all. It's nice and beautiful. A lovely Wednesday in the Pacific Northwest. It's quite gorgeous, I do say. Roads. You get a fast motorcycle and then you get stuck behind people. And I'm not really one to line split crazily or anything. One thing that did really surprise me about this motorcycle that I didn't know about after reading lots of reviews, watching MotoVlog videos, or just motor reviews in general, one thing that really surprised me, I didn't hear anyone touch on, is there's a little eco indicator here on the dash. What that sort of has an effect on it improves fuel efficiency over time, which makes it, again, a great touring bike. But for being just like a rapscallion, being a hooligan on the streets, it affects the way the bike handles on-off throttle. It makes it really it doesn't affect it all the time. You won't notice it all the time. Just like if you're engine braking or that kind of thing. Yeah, stuff. If you feel it right there, yeah, it'll kind of mess you up if you're off the throttle and you really try to open it up. It'll have that weird little delay where it doesn't quite give you the full power when you're opening it up, but it's there, but it kind of jolts you. Power there, you just have to make sure you're like in the right rev range and the right gear. I mean, there's a lot of power, of course. There's a lot more than the 600 ever had. Below 6,000 revs. You know, it's a triple. It's got the power nice. It's pretty nicely spread across the spectrum. At least definitely early on. You don't need to be in a high. Wow, what?
Damn you all!
What are you people doing? Not much different too. Very much different than most of the lights in the area. Protocols are very... You stay. Good person. Yeah, I see a van behind me to my left, so I was gonna stay in this lane. Mr. Van. Mr. Bearded guy in a van. Very beardy. Beard face. It's beard face, damn it. Not beard face. Oh, scrub ref in there. Sturgis. Nice. Yeah, I suppose I should touch on that. Being a pseudo adventure bike. That's to say, not really. It looks like one, but some people may think it is, but it's not really. Standing up on it's not too uncomfortable. Compared to a BMW 700, it's a little less. It's less comfortable. The peg position and the handlebar position. When you're standing up, the handlebars feel a little down and a little towards you, I guess you could say. Compared to something that like you're supposed to be standing up on because you're supposed to be doing adventure stuff. I think the pegs are a little bit higher, and they're a little bit to the back, so it's slightly less comfortable standing up. You can still do it definitely when you get the wedgie. Yeah, I do sort of live near the Boeing plant in Everett. Definitely within driving distance, and it's interesting to see. You know, it's the largest building in the world, or something like that. It's not the largest building in the world, but it's the building with like the most square foot indoors, or something like that. It's pretty impressive to see. If you ever get the chance to go have a tour of it, I certainly encourage you to do that. The FJ and FC do also have the 3 modes. As long as you're off the throttle, you can be moving. You can switch between them, standard A and B. B is very useful when it's raining, or just when you want to take a chill ride. Standard is when you're going to be in most of the time. And A mode is, I have mixed feelings about A mode. The only time I ever use it is when I'm like, want to get hot off the line, or if I'm on the freeway and want a little bit of extra power, because it does add some torque and horsepower, but it does make it really, really snatchy, really, because it's immediately ride by wires, no softening, no. The ecosystem does still work, but it's the feeling of how you it's still pretty crazy. was A mode, and I shifted up in a second. But yeah, it can get away from you real quick if you're not careful. Right, using a ride-by-wire, because it feels like you're. Well, I mean, it's natural, of course, to feel weird compared to how you may normally feel a throttle, where it's like nice and smooth, but it's why the fuck is this guy following me so close? It's 35 and I'm speeding and he's the bloody hell. Anyway, YouTube, I'm off for now.